Hi, my name's Phil. I like to talk about politics. In this video, I'd like to discuss how the government have been caught out in another lie about what they agreed to in Brexit negotiations last year. In this case, the ongoing saga of the Northern Ireland office for EU customs officials. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. And well, yeah, it seems Brexit is absolutely opening up again as being topical. Boris Johnson has said he's taking personal charge of the talks again. The US Chamber of Commerce has attacked Johnson's Brexit strategy, massively pouring doubt on his hope for his hard Brexit aims. More about that tomorrow, though. And now the already ridiculous UK position over the EU office in Belfast has been exposed as not merely silly, but a deliberately fabricated lie as well. So the concept of the Northern Ireland office being denied by the UK government, I've covered before. And if I remember, I'll try and put a link up there. The facts of the matter are that Boris Johnson's customs agreement with the EU creates a fairly unique situation in the world. I would say completely unique, but I'm not an expert on every border in the world. I can't say that there isn't something a little bit similar somewhere else in the world. But I certainly haven't heard of it, because normally the way customs would work would be relatively straightforward from this point of view. You have a border between two nations or two blocks, in this case between a nation and a trading bloc, and officials on either side of their respective border are free to check goods and people passing across that border from their own side according to their own rules on customs arrangements. And it's fine. And there's nothing the other side can do about it if they have any issue with it. Not a problem, easy to do. However, due to Boris Johnson's master plan, the only border checks that will be taking place will be up the Irish Sea, or would be if we were building the facilities to be able to do that, but we're not. And we should also be massively expanding our border force. Michael Gove was talking last week about the fact, oh yes, we've put these things in place to recruit some more people to do these checks. And when he was asked how many, he said, I don't know. So that could be none. Hopefully it's more than none. But the issue here is, the key point is that it will be British customs officials checking goods on both sides of the border, because both sides of the border are going to be in the UK, because the border is inside of the UK. It's not actually between the UK and the EU, which is strange. But Ireland is strange. You know the Good Friday Agreement and just the peculiarities of the division within Ireland create strange situations. So EU customs officials won't actually be checking any goods from their side, but they do need to know that they've been checked. So Boris Johnson's part of the withdrawal agreement agreed that EU officials could still monitor the process. So UK customs officials would do the checking, but EU officials could monitor that process to make sure that customs border was being maintained. And this is something that Michael Gove has been happy to admit to, in that same hearing last week, the select committee hearing. He was very happy to say that yes, of course, EU officials can monitor the checks in Northern Ireland, no problem at all. We've absolutely agreed to that. When it was pointed out to him, we had anyway in Article 12 of the withdrawal agreement. But he said that they shouldn't be allowed an office to do this. And just on that basis alone, the government would clearly be in breach of Article 12 of the withdrawal agreement, something that was passed by the British Parliament and signed by Boris Johnson into international law. After all, how is it possible for any administrative worker in the whole of Europe to be expected to carry out their role without an office, especially when they're part of a large, complex team? But the government are playing dumb on this. Of course they can check, no problem at all, but you're not allowed an office. Can't operate from an office. You don't need an office. What do you need an office for? They say. And ministers and officials are claiming that even the concept of this office in Northern Ireland was never discussed before. Now it's like, this has come right out of the blue. When was this? You weren't asking for this during the negotiations. Why has this suddenly come into the discussion now, after we've actually left our membership? However, this feigning of it all coming out as a bit of a shock seems to have been a little bit of a fib, because it's been discovered that discussions about such an office were discussed and agreed last year. In fact, before the withdrawal agreement was changed to remove the backstop, offices around the UK were agreed to, not just Northern Ireland. A letter was written by the Foreign Office expressing their desire, no, not just acceptance, active desire, that the UK wanted to see the EU maintaining offices in Belfast, Edinburgh, Cardiff and London. And these letters were signed, of course, by none other than Sir Simon McDonald, who is the Permanent Secretary of the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, who got himself into a little bit of bother recently when he had to admit to a select committee of Parliament that the UK's decision not to join the EU procurement scheme for medical equipment was a political decision. And he's also been backing his political masters by denying all knowledge of discussions about these EU offices. Where's this come from, he said, when he sent letters about them last year. But the tone changed after the 31st of January, when Sir Simon, on instructions from the government, of course, had to deny the provision of an office needed to comply with the withdrawal agreement. And what the letters show is that the UK side has been lying about the issue. This claim that they never knew anything about it until recently, exposed as a lie. And it's not simply about whether a large technical team need an office or not, which frankly is a discussion that is only possible when you have a moron on one side of the debate. Of course you need an office. But it's not just about do they or don't they need an office, or does Article 12 mean that they should have that facility or not, because a court can decide that in due course. It's now a proven case of the UK government and civil service lying. And if the UK's position was reasonable and correct, then why the need to lie? Why would you need to lie? And this also opens up, of course, the much more serious situation, which I don't really want people to lose sight of. It's not about just whether they need an office or not. They do. The following scenario is now laid out. So 1, the government keep insisting that the EU cannot have this office. And there's no point in relenting at the end of the year, because that's too late, because the EU wanted this office setting up in June so it had time to bed in the staff needed to be able to, hit the ground running from the 1st of January 2021. So they don't allow the EU an office. 2, we don't extend the transition period because reasons. 3, we crash out with the hard Brexit at the end of 2020. Now, although this will be sort of a no-deal Brexit, what you would call a no-deal Brexit, what we mean by that is not that we don't have a deal with the EU. It means we don't have a comprehensive deal with the EU. We already have a deal with the EU. It's already signed, sealed and delivered. It's called the withdrawal agreement, and that has certain provisions. Remember, people may imagine this withdrawal agreement only covers the transition period. It does not. The transition period is part of the withdrawal agreement, but the withdrawal agreement itself remains international law until we replace it with something else, in a mutual agreement with the EU, which we're not about to do. So that means that we have to be able to carry out those checks as specified in the withdrawal agreement, and it means we have to allow EU officials to monitor the process. But without an office, they can't really coordinate that. They can't. So you create a situation where the EU are not able to monitor that process. And also when you factor in the fact that we haven't actually started building the facilities to even carry out the checks ourselves, checked or unchecked, monitored or unmonitored, and we haven't employed the border staff to be able to do it, then the EU will have good reason to suppose that the checks are not being carried out properly. At which point, and this has got nothing to do with what they do or do not want, WTO rules insist that the EU have to carry out those checks. They cannot give the UK preferential status because we don't have a specific agreement with them for that, on customs arrangements. So that would, we know what that means. That would mean the hard border is back on the agenda for Ireland. The border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland that the Good Friday Agreement basically airbrushed out. It's sort of there, but we have to behave as if it's not there. That behaviour won't be able to continue, because the EU have to be able to check goods that are at least coming into the EU from a third country. We are going to be a third country at this point. We sort of technically are already, but in the transition period means we've got an agreement for export and import at the moment. But that'll evaporate at the end of the year if we don't extend the transition period and we don't agree a comprehensive trade deal, which is now, of course, impossible. And that is the important aspect of this. It's not about should there be an office or shouldn't there be. Most people won't really care, even though they really should. It's about, is that hard border in Ireland going to come back to haunt the whole process? But there it is. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, then please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.